Hi, this is Robert Beller from Retro Car Guy 530 LLC. Today I'm going to be discussing the water intrusion problems I've had over the last 3 SSRs that I've owned, including this one in the rear cargo area. And I know for a lot of people that don't drive it in rainy or snowy conditions, that's not a problem for you, but in my case, in Northern California, the winter equals a lot of rain, or usually in a good rainy year, it's a lot of rain. So with that, the water intrusion issue is an issue for me since this is my daily driver. And I wanted to show you some of the techniques that I've developed over the last 14 years. And I posted on the SSRfanatic.com website to help reduce the water intrusion, move the cargo area from water resistant to a little bit closer to waterproof. It's not going to be 100% waterproof, but this certainly reduces the water intrusion to near zero. So with that, after the intro and the information disclaimer, we'll come back and walk you around the various changes I made on this particular SSR, demonstrate the areas, and hopefully you're able to replicate that on yours, and hopefully it will help you reduce the water intrusion on your vehicle. Please review the automotive information, repair, and modification guidelines on this screen. Seek the advice of a repair professional if you're unsure how to perform any repair or modification safely and correctly. All repairs and modifications are performed at your own risk. I'd like to identify the zones that I've located over the last 14 years with the 3 different SSRs I've had this issue with, so that you can look at your vehicle and see if it's a problem for yours. The main areas that I found are where these 3 different body panels come together on each corner, so both sides at the top here. The tailgate where it meets the sill plate, and the sill plate meets the bumper fascia, this area here. There's some rubber seals here, and there's some gaps in there that need to be closed up. And then also the bumper fascia itself, it acts as a scoop. It seems with the airflow from driving the vehicle and the water being sprayed up from the road and the tires seems to come underneath, and it acts as a natural scoop to bring the water up. It seems to come all the way up here. The bumper fascia actually sits on top of the bottom of the cargo area in the rear of the vehicle, and there's enough of a gap there to let the water in. And you'll see where the arms are for the tailgate, you would actually kind of go into there and drain into that. And I'd have a puddle of water sitting there sometimes, or just underneath the carpet kit on my 2005 Chevrolet SSR that I had that had the carpet kit. You could actually see water. If you lifted the carpet kit, there's water underneath it, and I could smell it when I would open the cargo area. So with that, we'll identify the corrective actions that I made in each of those areas. One's a little bit of an artistic exercise up here, but the other ones are fairly straightforward, putting some beads of silicone sealant down, and hopefully that moves the needle for your vehicle from water resistant to waterproof, hopefully. So let's get to it. Now we're taking a look at the intersection of these 3 panels with the tailgate open, but the cargo cover down. And you can see that the seal for the cargo cover runs along here, and in theory the water will run off to the edge here and then just simply down the outside of the seal. If everything's working correctly, that part of the water should behave that way. I have found sometimes that this doesn't always seal 100% tightly up against that, so it might route over here, but it might backtrack into this section here. And depending on how tightly this is sealing up against here, especially with the tailgate up here, it might be pushing it, and you can kind of see a small gap here. So there's certainly also the visible opening that you can see from the side when we're looking in here, that there might be enough for the water to come in and then down to here. And this lip does exist naturally in the rubber seal, but it stops about here. And it's not a very tall end of it. So what I end up doing is I add a bit of sealant here, silicone sealant, where I basically extend the rubber seal and I taper it upward so that any water that does come in from the cargo cover seal area, it comes down and then it will naturally follow with gravity into this drainage channel, which this channel here is meant to route the water down this side tailgate seal, which has a drainage channel in it, and that should just drain out of the vehicle get rid of the water. So this is one area where I've seen water intrusion. This is the one that takes a little bit of artistic talent and patience to get it tapered just right, because you can lay it down then with the sealant, and then when you close it, you'll find that you put too much or too high. So you have to experiment a little bit with it. But as you can see here, there is a slight upward taper, and I got it basically to the point where I needed it, and then I closed the cargo cover and opened it up to see if I was deforming it in any way, and that gives that natural shape to it. So then I usually leave the cargo cover up while this is drying, and then of course after it dries, like I would say 12 to 24 hours, go ahead and use the cargo cover normally, and it should just leave it in this position. It shouldn't break it or anything. And I've had this silicone sealant, I put this in here in early 2010, and as I record this video, it's December 2018, so this has lasted very well. So that's the top area where the 3 different body panels meet together and the seals for them. The rubber seal at the top of the tailgate on both sides is used to direct water that does reach the top of the tailgate to the side drainage channel. Usually this is only secured with a piece of double-sided tape, and I've only found that at the bottom of the rubber seal. So I would suggest taking some silicone sealant and using that to secure the entire rubber seal to the side of the tailgate. So I usually clean both the tailgate and the rubber seal, insert some silicone in between the two, and use a little piece of tape to keep it secured to the side of the tailgate until it dries over a 12 to 24 hour period. This way, any water that does reach that seal will be properly routed into the side drainage channel instead of draining down the side of the tailgate and reaching into the cargo compartment. We're now taking a look at the bottom of the tailgate area and the hinge and the cargo bed and bumper fascia, where that all comes together in the cargo bed area here. And there's a variety of issues going on here as well as far as water intrusion. The seal that's over here that comes down the side of the tailgate, which we were talking about just before, where we're adding the sealant at the top to route the water into the drainage channel, where that drainage channel comes through this portion of the rubber seal, and it's supposed to drain out of the vehicle. But I've found that there's usually a gap, or when the tailgate's closed, that there's enough of pressure on here that there will be a gap between this seal and this round rubber hose, it almost looks like, with this rubber sealant here. So I put a bead of silicone sealant between the inside edge of this seal and then down, of course, this round tubing here, I put it there, and then down to the cargo bed itself. You don't want to block the tubing, the hole that's in the tubing on the seal, because that's the main drainage channel from the top side. So make sure you only apply it to the inside portion of this so that you create a watertight barrier, preventing water coming from the bumper fascia or down this drainage tube from going inside the cargo area. The other part here is this gap that exists. You can see the round tubing stops here, and then the sill plate is here, so there's usually a big gap. I usually put a bead of silicone sealant here and make sure that's all put together with a reasonably high level so that there's a good barrier here to prevent water from intruding there. And then the last part of this, which is the main part that I found in my 2005 Chevrolet SSR Ricochet Silver SSR, is the bumper fascia itself. The cover comes up to the cargo bed and sits on top of the cargo bed. And what I have found that the intersection of the bumper cover and the cargo bed seems to be porous enough to allow any water that comes in there to intrude and basically run into the bed. And that will happen while you're driving down the road and water gets sprayed up from the tires or just naturally off the road as you're driving over it, and the wind effect from driving down the road, that will throw it up on the bumper cover on the back side of it, and it seems to push it up enough into the cargo bed area that this was the main source of the leak in my 2005 SSR. So I usually apply a silicone bead for the entire width of the bumper cover in here, so that requires removal of the sill plate. But starting over here and then running the full width, so it comes around this hinge and then it runs basically all the way over here, and then it comes around the hinge again and then over to the edge, just like we were looking at over on the driver's side. So to remove the bumper cover sill plate piece, you need to just it pops out, so you might need some plastic tools if you want to do that, or it might be easy enough just to grab it from the back side and pull up. The reason I'm not doing that here is because I already have
this one in place with some silicone sealant as well. Before I reinstalled it, I put a bead of silicone sealant out here on the outside edge. So this entire edge here is also sealed, so that there's a watertight barrier for the entire width of the tailgate, running along the sill plate, through that gap that we sealed up, through here, and then also to the edge of the side tailgate seal. So with that, hopefully you won't get any water, at least from the tailgate, cargo cover, or from the bumper fascia into your cargo area. I hope you find that helpful.
If you like this video, smash that like button. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. Please follow Retro Car Guy 530 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for taking the time to visit the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.